So you're going to go to the Nearpod right here. At this point, everyone should already have been in Nearpod, but I'm going to show you the code in a second. Anyway, remember, even if you cannot see my screen, you can hear my voice and you can see your Nearpod. So make sure that when I tell you or when it shows you to type an answer on the screen, that you're typing it so that I can see it on my side. Y si en algún momento alguien necesita que yo repita algo en español, me lo dejan saber porque no soy adivina. ¿Verdad? This is the code just in case you need it. I'm going to pop it up there for a second and then we're going to move on. Make sure you have your notebook ready with your pencil so you can take notes. We are still on unit rate. Okay, so today we are on lesson 7. Comparing relationships with tables. Let's explore how proportional relationships are different from other relationships. Today's goals. I can decide if a relationship represented by a table could be proportional and when it is definitely not proportional. Visiting the state park. Remember, if at any point you have a question or know the answer to a question, you can click on the raise your hand button or type your answer into the chat box. Let's look at this first question. It says, for each row in the table, if each person in the vehicle split the entrance cost equally, how much will each person pay? I feel like I forgot something here. Because I did. I forgot the cost. Of course I did. We're skipping that one because Ms. Pernis forgot to add information in there. Okay, let's look at this one. It says, Han and Claire were running laps around the track. The coach recorded their times at the end of laps 2, 4, 6, and 8. So on the first table for Han, we see that he has his distance, which would be our X, and we see his time, which would be our Y. Remember, we're always labeling our table, X and Y. This row right here, the third row, I'll explain what that is in a second. And then for Claire, we have the same thing. We have her distance in laps, which is X, and we have her time, which is Y. So we want to see if they are proportional. So I'm going to explain what that means. So we've talked a little bit about it. We want to make sure that we are equivalent all the way down the table. So the first thing I want to do is find my unit rate. So unit rate, we can either go up to 1 or we can find it by doing Y divided by X. So we're going to do that all the way down the table. So normally we find the unit rate once, right? Well, we want to find the unit rate across every row to make sure that when we fill in this last column, if the number is the same, that means the table is proportional. That means the table is equivalent all the way down. If we have different numbers all the way down the table, then that means it's not equivalent, which means our table is not proportional. So I'm going to do the first one. You have it on your screen. You don't have to do the first one on your screen. I want you to write the first one in your notes so you have it. So if I were to do 4 divided by 2, that's an easy one. What's 4 divided by 2? 2. So I'm going to write 2 right in there. So I know 4 divided by 2 gives me 2. Then I'm going to do the next one. 9 divided by 4. So what's 9 divided by 4? If you don't know it using mental math, use another strategy. What's 9 divided by 4? You said 25 or 5? 2.25. So I'm going to write it in here. What about 15 divided by 6? 2.5. And 23 divided by 8. 3.87? 3.87. Okay, so notice in that last column, are all those numbers the same? 2, 2.25, 2.5, 3.87. Are all those numbers the same? Is it the same number? No, they're not all the same number. In order for our table to be proportional, the unit rate needs to be the same all the way down the table. And I'm going to write that over here in the corner. And this is a good little note for you to write, like star it and go, if the unit rate is not the same all the way down the table, it is not proportional. So if we had 2, 2, 2, 2, then our table would have been proportional. Or even if it had been 2.5, 2.5, as long as it was the same number all the way down. Okay, I'm going to give you a minute to write that down, whether you're here or at home. That is important for you to know, because right now we're working with proportional and non-proportional tables. But later this week, we're going to be working with proportional and not proportional graphs. So, si el número o la unidad no es la misma desde arriba a abajo en una tabla, entonces la tabla no es proporcional. Malvo. You know what I'm thinking? This week I'm making sure everybody has a notebook. But for the ones that are coming in, maybe I can write like a couple notes and for now. And then we can like tape it or something. I don't know, I gotta think about it.
They can Google it. I mean,
yeah.
There's lots of things that are going for a little bit.
That way, make sure that they have it. Even though I have the slides up there and everything, but.
That's a good idea. All of them have almost
I was telling Miss Melvin yesterday, I think I'm gonna get those little lights that go on the desk. That way when they're ready, they go, I'm ready. Okay, we're going to check out Claire's run now. So what I want you to do, whether you're here or at home, I want you to find the unit rate for the third column. Remember, the unit rate equals y divided by x. So for example, Claire's run, 5 divided by 2. So go ahead and do that now. Remember, those of you at home, you should be typing it into your Nearpod. Make sure you're typing it into your Nearpod, not the chat. Randy, make sure you're typing it in Nearpod, not in the chat. Once you have that column filled in, click your submit button. Okay, I'm going to give you another 30 seconds. Yeah, pura. Is it proportional? Is it proportional? Okay, so if I divide 5 divided by 2, what does it give me? 2.5. If I do 10 divided by 4, what does it give me? If I do 15 divided by 6?
2.5.
2. If I do 20 divided by 8?
2.5.
Perfect. So if I have the same number all the way down, is it proportional or not proportional?
It's proportional.
It's proportional. Perfect. So my second table, Claire's run, is proportional. So if I were to ask you a question, is it proportional or is it not? Is it proportional? You would say yes. Is it not proportional? You'd say no. Make sure you click submit. I gotta erase that. Miss Maria, can you do me a quick favor? Can you check on there if Karen's in there and I just forgot to take her attendance. Good. I see everyone has submitted. Santiago, make sure you type it in real quick and submit. Yair, same for you. Marisol, same for you. Make sure that you are clicking the submit button. I am going to move on. Submit real quick or it won't save. She's there? Oh, I forgot to take her attendance. I was going to say, because she's in here. Okay. So we talked about this a little bit, but I want you to think back and I want you to type in a quick answer for number 1. We'll talk about number 2 in a second. So number 1 asks, is Han running at a constant pace? Is Claire? How do you know? So those are 3 separate questions. So you might want to go first question. You might want to do bullet points. First question, I write my answer. Second question, I write my answer. Third question, I write my answer. If you were typing it, you click type, and then you click one of those little dash buttons so that you can put in all 3 answers. It's like in reading. You want to make sure that you're answering all the questions, not just one. So, I was about to say that. Because I remember that William needs at home. Acuérdense de contestar las 3 preguntas. Han está corriendo a un paso constante. Claire está corriendo a un paso constante. ¿Y cómo sabes?
¿Cómo sabes?
¿Ah?
¿Cómo sabes?
Yeah.
¿Cómo sabes?
Mr. Green was like, I'm going to have to come into your first class so that I know what you guys are talking about. So I can learn some Spanish.
That's an easy expression, so it's a good one to figure out.
Miss, we have to put numbers.
No, you can put yes, you can put no, and then you answer the last one. Thank you for the question.
I have a question. What information are we using to answer these questions? The table?
We're using the table that we just did, yes,
The
because we were,
last table?
yeah, because we were working with Han and Claire on the last table.
Oh, okay. So, so this time. So the question is, this table is for Claire. It wants to know, is Han running at a constant pace? The bottom table is for both of them?
No, the top
The top
one was
is for-
Han, and the bottom one was Claire.
Because if this is Han, let's try. Is he running at a constant pace in the city?
I'll be right there, Ruby. Oh
How do we know? How do you know that he is not running the same pace as she is? Okay, so let's look at the numbers. What happened here? The numbers that we found that are right in this, is my unit rate. It's our rate, the rate of C. Is his rate of C the same now? Is her rate of C the same? So we know because his rate of speed changed, her rate of speed
Okay, so Annabelle, I'm showing your answer. Okay, so I was reading through and I thought Annabelle did a really nice job. I didn't get to everybody, so don't think that because I didn't put yours up, yours was wrong. No, I just didn't get to everybody. So it says, is Han running at a constant pace? Annabelle wrote, Han is not running at a constant pace. Claire is running at a constant pace. So remember, we looked at those two tables. In the first one, our numbers were all different. In the second one, our numbers were all the same. So how do you know? I know because all the numbers in Han's table were not the same, but Claire's table had all the same numbers. You could also write, because I know that Han's table was not proportional and Claire's table was proportional. Or you could write, when I divided y by x in Han's table, it gave me different answers, and Claire's gave me the same. Okay? So that was very, very... Oh, I was like, is someone talking to me? Okay, so then the second question says, write an equation for the relationship between the distance and time for anyone who's running at a constant pace. So we know that Claire was running at a constant pace. So we want to write an equation for Claire's table. What was Claire's unit rate? What was that number that was constant all the way down? 2.5. So if I write my equation, it would be y equals, what's my unit rate? 2.5, and what am I missing over here? What am I missing? If we've been following along with our lessons, we would know y equals 2.5 x.
X.
Perfect. So that is our equation. Once you have it written down, submit, and we are going to move on in 30 seconds. I think I put too many slides in for today. Did you click submit? Remember, you can type your answer even if you have y equals 2.5x. You can also write that with your text. I'm going to move on in 5 seconds. So click submit regardless of what you have. Oh, I know. Yeah. You couldn't hear because I had walked away from the computer. I apologize. Okay, so we already talked about that. Oh, I didn't have that many slides. Okay, never mind, I lied. Okay, so remember this last link takes you to our classwork for today. You're going to have about 25 minutes. Remember to ask questions here or at home. If you don't want to ask your question out loud and you want to type it in the chat box, do that. Remember, I have direction videos here. I almost always give away 1 or 2 answers in your direction video because I work one out. And then in your how-to video, if you cannot remember how to find unit rate, I do that in there as well. So make sure that you're reading the directions. Did someone at home have a question? Tell me your name because I can't see you. Hola, Luisa, ¿qué pasa? ¿Tienes pregunta?